Welcome to Fear No Evil, where the evil that I speak about is child sexual abuse. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Today, I'm going to talk about who is at risk. And the photo that I chose is a photo of being alone. And I think many people think that the children that are at risk are maybe a child that may be walking home or maybe walking to school on such a lonely and deserted road that they're more apt to be at risk for child sexual abuse. And although that's what we may think, the statistics don't hold that stereotype to be true. So who is at risk? Most of the children at high risk were thought to be in family circumstances and environments considered atypical of the normal family. But that's not true at all. Because it doesn't matter what your socioeconomic status is, religious, doesn't matter if you're an atheist, doesn't matter if you are a Satanist, doesn't matter if you follow Christianity, it doesn't matter if you follow any other type of religion or no religion. Doesn't matter what your race is or your gender, and it certainly doesn't matter what your level of education is. And it certainly doesn't matter what your family setting is. All children are at risk to be sexually abused either by someone in their family or someone outside of their family. Now we know that girls are the subject of most of the research. And in fact, you can go maybe 30 or 40 years ago and look at research, and there's no research on guys. Most of the research is just on girls, which doesn't make any sense. Because I don't understand why in society we think that boys and men don't get sexually abused or sexually harassed as well. As you can see, that's going on in Hollywood. Only the women are coming out because it's a woman's movement. But a true survivor of child sexual abuse or any sexual violation is concerned with all violations. And that includes our gender of male in society as well. So we know that they are the subject of research more than boys, but that doesn't mean that there are not boys and men out there who are getting sexually violated on a regular basis. The reason why many people in the lower economic status of our society are pinpointed more for child sexual abuse is because they have more access to the DSS system, where people who are in the middle and upper income level of our society have money, and they use their money to shield themselves, as usual. And then usually the professions that they are paying their money to will also shield their own family secrets. Now you would think that these people, doctors, physicians, teachers, you name it, would be worried and would want to report sexual abuse no matter where it occurs. But that is not the case. So just because someone's coming across the DSS system and they happen to have sexual abuse in their background, it does not mean that sexual abuse only affects the lower economic proportion of our society. It's just simply not true. And there's no significant difference between black and white people when it comes to sexual abuse. It doesn't mean that one race is abusing their kids more than the other race. There's a very little difference between the races when it comes to sexual abuse. Now, when you talk about homosexuality, there is an article by Carla. She is a physician, November 21st, 2016. Homosexuality linked to child sexual abuse confirmed gender non-conformity. She writes, new research is not that child sexual abuse is not a common cause of being gay, but new research says the opposite is true. There is something common in the childhood of homosexual men that makes them a target for pedophilia and sexual abuse, which is their gender nonconformity. No, 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 and no. Everyone who is sexually abused does not become gay later in life. Therefore, you cannot say that just because a male identifies as a homosexual later on in life, that is the reason why they were sexually abused. Because when you say that, you discount all the other survivors who have been sexually abused but never identified as homosexual later on in life. Now, most people, when I bring up this subject, will say, you're trying to say that people who are LGBT abuse kids more. That's not what I'm saying either. I am not saying that just because you are LGBT and you have sexual abuse in your background, that means that you abuse children more. No. That's not the argument either. The argument is quite simple, that there are many LGBT who have child sexual abuse history in their backgrounds, although they don't talk about it, they don't speak about it, and they certainly don't bring it forward. And they have to be able to explain why there are so many child sexual abuse survivors in the LGBT community if they want to say that they are born that way. And the reason why they need to do this is because there are a lot of kids who are being sexually abused. And the LGBT are not going to silence those who are child sexual abuse survivors. That's what these videos are all about. That's what they try to say the hate speech is all about. But the research is right here. Anybody can look up this research. By Carla Clark, are you really trying to say that people who are LGBT, that makes them a risk for being sexually abused? No. The perpetrator is only looking for a male or a female, or both, whichever is their preference. That's as far as the sexual offender goes in trying to identify their target. So, who's at risk? Any child. Any child is at risk for child sexual abuse. That is the first fact that American society needs to understand. Be blessed, survivors. Keep going. You're not alone. There are many out there following the same path. There are many people out there who are healing. The healing is for you. You deserve it. And it's yours as soon as you reach out and grab it. But some of these lies, when it comes to child sexual abuse, they need to end. And some of the research that goes on with the LGBT community is full of falsities and lies. And this is one of them. And this was written in 2016. Not even less than 2 years ago. And they're trying to say that new research suggests that homosexual men, there's something about them that may make them the target of pedophilia and sexual abuse? No.